Right now I'm going to demonstrate how to do a coupling and an uncoupling. We're going to start with the uncoupling of the tractor and the trailer. First thing that you have to do for uncoupling is you have to ensure that the ground around your landing gear is going to be able to support the weight of the trailer once you disconnect from the trailer. Once you know that the ground will handle the weight of the trailer, we're going to jack the gear down. The gearing systems on these trailers all vary. Sometimes the handle's on the driver's side, sometimes it's on the passenger side. Sometimes you turn it clockwise, sometimes counterclockwise. Sometimes you have to push it all the way in to get high gear. Sometimes you have to pull it all the way out to get high gear. So you'll just have to learn your own variation of it. We always want to maintain control of the handle. We don't want to just try to spin the handle with our fingers. Otherwise, that handle will come around and hit you in the mouth and damage your teeth. We'll bring it down until it just touches the ground. And then I'm going to back it up one turn. And then we store our handle back where it belongs. We want the gear to float, the legs to float just a little bit. And the reason we want that to happen is so that when we separate the tractor and the trailer, we can actually feel the trailer and watch the trailer settle, and then we know that we're separated from it. We need to disconnect our air lines and our electrical lines. Before we pull our air lines apart, we'll check inside the truck and make sure that the brake buttons are both pulled, indicating that the brakes are set. Anytime we get in and out of the truck, we always want to face to the inside. And we want to have a 3-position hold, either 2 hands and a foot or 2 feet and 1 hand. Keep us from falling. We come back to the air lines. You just push the air lines straight up and separate these lines and the electric by grabbing it on the wings and pulling it straight out. Then we want to take these air lines and we want to store the air in the electric lines so that they are safe. They're not going to drag on the ground. They're not going to get caught up inside of our drive shaft or get up in with the tires. We'll store that one in the dummy head or the glad hand handle, and then we'll lay the other one up so it's not dragging on the ground. Once we have the glad hands and the electrical line stored, the next thing that we want to do is we want to get up underneath here. We want to pull the release handle. So we pull our release handle and we lift it up and lock it in place. And then we have to walk up to the cab of the truck. If the truck is running, we shut the truck off and we take the keys out. That way there's zero chance that somebody can get in the truck and move the truck while you're underneath it. At this point in time, we would go up underneath the truck and we would check and make sure that the locking jaw has been unlocked by the release handle, and the locking jaw will retract off of the kingpin as we pull the tractor out from under the trailer. So just a real quick recap of what happened. We disconnected all of our lines and stowed those out of the way so that we don't run over them and tear them up. We have disconnected or pulled our release handle and locked it into place so it's in the release. We checked our locking jaws to make sure that the locking lever has been retracted. Our landing gear is down, not completely against the ground. It's floating just a little bit, and the handle is stored. Now we're ready to start the truck and pull up out from underneath the trailer. When we do start the truck and pull forward, we're not going to use the red brake button because we do not have an air line connected between the tractor and the trailer. All we would do is bleed the air out into the atmosphere. Now that I'm ready to go ahead and pull out from underneath the trailer, I'm going to put the truck in gear, release only the yellow parking brake button. I'm going to ease my clutch out nice and slow. And I'm going to watch for my trailer to settle. When my trailer settles, I stop, put the truck in neutral, reapply the brakes, shut the truck off. 3-point and exit from the vehicle, and then I can come back and I can check to make sure that my landing gear is supporting the trailer. If it's tight, it's doing what it's supposed to do. I always want to try to leave my fifth wheel skid plate up underneath my apron just a little bit. That way, if the landing gear has an issue, all I have to do is back right back up underneath the trailer and lock it in, and I can pull it to the shop and get it fixed. Now we're going to go ahead and recouple the tractor to the trailer. First thing that we want to check is to make sure that the tractor is lined up properly with the trailer. The best way to do that is use the straight edge of the trailer and compare the distance between the edge of the trailer and the edge of the tires on the tractor, and you got to do both sides. When we do back the tractor up, we only want to back the tractor up until the trailer hits about on the halfway point of the fifth wheel with the apron. If it hits any farther than halfway up the skid plate, when the skid plate lays down, there's going to be a gap between the apron and the skid plate. And this is another reason why we leave the gear up a tiny bit, the legs, we leave it up a little bit when we drop the trailer, so that whenever we do back up, it'll raise the trailer a little. We can feel the back end of the tractor squat down. Also, as the trailer raises a little bit, it takes the pressure off of the legs. That way, if you're not perfectly centered between the capture zone on the fifth wheel and the kingpin, and the trailer has to move left or right, it's not going to create a bind on the landing gear, which is going to be very hard to jack the landing gear up. I'm going to go ahead and back the tractor up until the apron touches on the skid plate, and then I'm going to stop. I'm going to get out and I'm going to check the skid plate. We always do a 3-point entry into the truck so that we're safe. And anytime we start our truck, we do a safe start. We make sure that the truck's in neutral, the brakes are applied, push the clutch to the floor, and then we start the truck up. We only use the tractor brake button. We leave the trailer brake out because we are not attached to the trailer itself. As we back up, we got to use both mirrors, left and right, and we try to get the tractor as even as possible up under the trailer. Now I'm going to stop. I'm going to get out and check and see exactly where it hit. As I stated before I backed up, we wanted to hit prior to the pivot pin or at the pivot pin. So we're good. I already have the trailer off the ground slightly so that my landing gear is loose. Now I can go ahead and check my kingpin. Truck is running. I can't go under the trailer. I can squat next to it and make sure that my kingpin is going to come up inside the capture zone. Now I'm going to back up. I'm going to lock the locking jaw around the kingpin, and then I'm going to give the tractor I'm going to put it in a forward gear, and I'm going to give it a little tug on the trailer to make sure that the locking jaw is wrapped around the kingpin and locked in place. If the locking jaw is not locked properly, you'll pull out from underneath the trailer. This is exactly why we do not hook up our air lines prior to backing up. If the trailer is older than 1974, it won't have dual brake chambers on it, which means there's no emergency brakes, and you'll have to hook up the air line and supply air to the trailer so that it can set the emergency brakes. This trailer has dual chambers, so we have emergency brakes. 3-point entry into the truck again. Put my truck in reverse, release the parking brake on the tractor, and back up real gentle. Until we hear the locking jaw lock. We're going to put our truck in gear, forward gear, and we're going to tug on the trailer a couple of times to make sure that we're locked in. Then we'll apply the brakes and shut the truck off. Take the keys with us. Because now what we have to do is check the locking jaw and make sure that it's properly wrapped around the kingpin where it's supposed to be. And for this you need some kind of a light. And we can see that the locking jaw is held in place. Now I'm ready to hook up my air lines and my electrical. When we hook up our air lines, we'll check our seals and we'll make sure that our glad hands are free of debris. The handle of the glad hand goes in an upward position with the seals matched up, one seal on top of the other, and then we rotate the handle around and we lock it down in place. We do the same thing with the red glad hand. Match up the seals, rotate it around and lock it down. And then we're going to do the same thing with our electrical. We're going to check inside the electrical, the connection box and the cord itself. Going to line up the tabs, push it in, make sure the tabs overlock and it locks itself in. The next thing that we want to do is go ahead and start the truck back up. Three-point entry getting into the truck. Clutches it, or truck's in neutral. Brakes are set. Clutch goes to the floor. Start the truck up. Ease the clutch out. Push in the trailer brake supply button. Leave the tractor brake set. We can come back and check for leaks. Going to listen to it and we'll feel and make sure that it's not leaking. At this point in time, we can start pre-tripping our trailer, top to bottom, front to back, side to side, and the whole undercarriage of it. As we work our way back pre-tripping, get back here to our landing gear. We're going to jack the gear all the way up. And we're going to store our handle. As we continued our pre-trip, we would make it all the way back to where our air lines and our brakes are, and we could also listen for air leaks back here. Alright, this concludes our drop and hook.